You like my hat? Can you guys see it? Cristina really wanted to wear this hat, but I couldn't give it up. She looks great in that. You look great in that hat, Cristina.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're ready for New Year's too, Nance.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to bring this. All right. So, Cristina, you want to ask me that question?
Okay, we are going to get started 5:30 on the dot, and welcome everybody to the last happy half hour of the year. So before we get started, we just like to ask every time we have a theme of the day, does anyone know what the day is? Write your answer in the chat.
And
Any guesses?
No fair going to DuckDuckGo or Google.
Going
and
once.
Janice, yeah.
Oh, Janice.
Annuity. Yes, we
Winter
are talking
solstice.
about annuities.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hi, Sue. Hey, and Janice asked a question, can you see or we can't see anybody and we can't hear anybody. So you could be screaming and yelling and we can't hear.
Yeah.
But today is National Sangria Day. This is my fake sangria because we're still at the office. But the reason sangria was created, I thought this was really interesting, is because back in Spain 2,000 years ago, their water was contaminated with bacteria. So they added alcohol and spices to it and they called it sangria, which is pretty cool. I think that's awesome. Let's see. The other thing is that it was by European law, in order to be given the name sangria, it has to be made either in Spain or Portugal. And it has to be low in alcohol, less than 12% volume. So that's it. Happy Sangria Day. Cheers.
So Dave, Pam, need to pour my tequila back in the bottle then. Nice. I actually have had it, and I think it's quite refreshing. It's nice, especially for a summer drink. Have you ever had it, Nance?
Yeah, doesn't it like people put oranges in it and stuff? That's what that is? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fruit.
And
Sharon,
Kathy
I
says,
like your drink tonight. Eggnog with Southern Comfort. Nice.
Woo!
Hey, you better be able to pay attention to our discussion today.
who's drinking that? Who's drinking that?
Sharon. Sharon
Oh my-
K.
Wow.
Like it.
Oh, sweet.
Well, everyone's
I'm
in
drinking-
the best
I'm
of
drinking-
mood.
I'm drinking Sky Juice. And for any of you who were on a couple times ago, do you remember what's in what's I called Sky Juice? Do you know what it is? Come on, who has a good memory? Yes. Thank you, Barbara. Water. Sky Juice.
Clever.
Thank you.
Clever.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
So let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Nance.
And I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna take my face away, but I'm gonna go ahead and put over in the chat box some info because Kelly unfortunately is not here tonight. So I'm gonna take over that role. So I'll go ahead and put some things over because we want to have a drawing to offer a bottle of fine wine. And
Yes.
so I will pick it. I'll put all the names in here as I see people coming on in our MoneyWise bag, and then I'll pick out the winner. All right, so take it away,
And
Cristina.
Nancy, you're going to be monitoring the chat. So if anyone has questions, Nancy, please jump in because sometimes I overlook the chat box when I'm talking. So if you could please help out with that, that'd be awesome. So
Yes, boss.
wonderful. Okay, so annuities, the good, bad, and the ugly. So before we kind of jump into the meat and potatoes, I want to just take a step back and just kind of give you, preface this conversation with, when we think of, well, let me say this, when we talk to individuals that are getting closer to retirement or they are in retirement, the number one question that we're asked is, Cristina, Nancy, how am I going to convert my asset base, my assets, I say for retirement, into an income stream? Because that's really what it's about now. Certainly growth is important in the portfolio as we go through retirement, but it's all about income now. So when we think of some of the natural income sources that pretty much we all have access to when we retire, We all know Social Security, that's there. That's an income source in retirement. Some people are fortunate enough to have a pension into retirement. We call pensions these days, phone booths. We don't see them around very often. So you on the call have a pension, kudos to you. I'm sure you know how fortunate you are. And then some individuals own real estate property that can be a very great way of producing income in the portfolio. But all these income sources, you have to understand that they're derived or they're backed by some institution, right? So if you have a pension, it's typically going to be backed by the corporation or the pension guarantee fund. Real estate obviously is backed by that real property. Social Security backed by the Social Security Trust Fund. So these are the backers of these income streams that you're relying on for your retirement. Annuities fall in the same line. So the easiest way to think of an annuity is if you have a pension, you have an annuity, right? It's just issued from the public sector type of entity. But when you retire, and if you say, how can I take some of my assets and create an income stream from the public sector options, that's where you are just getting an annuity from another backer. And who is a backer of annuities? Well, they're insurance companies, okay? Insurance companies are one of the biggest managers of pension funds out there today. Why? Because that is their forte. They are in the longevity business, right? Mortality business. So when you think of an annuity and why they are so strong and powerful, think of it like a risk pool, right? That's exactly what you do when you get involved inside some type of an insurance vehicle. It's a risk pooling of assets. So think of it this way. If everyone on this call, we were in the exact same annuity through the exact same insurance carrier, we're all pool. It's a risk pooling of our assets with the insurance company, because what the insurance company knows is that not all of us are going to take the income at the same time, right? Some of you may defer it for 5, 6, 7 years. Some of you may take the income right away. And some people we know statistically will never draw from that income stream. So that's how they pool the risk pooling of these assets work. But more importantly is you always want to look at the backer of anywhere you invest your money. When we look at the backer of an insurance company, far and away still today, these are one of the strongest and most secure institutions out there where we could put our money to produce a guaranteed result. And the reason why I say that they are still today one of the strongest and most viable options for you to consider for this section of your portfolio is simply because they are mandated by law to have what's called cash reserves. No other financial institution where you can invest your money has this requirement. So quite simply, you put it, you invest $1 with an insurance company, they have to set a dollar aside in reserves. Many of the strongest and largest insurance companies out there put more than $1 aside in reserves. And why do they? It's mandated for that is because you need your money, the funds have to be there. So for these examples, when a person says, wow, is this a viable option, a viable backer for me to have a sense of security to know that they're going to pay me these payments over my lifetime, these are one of the best financial institutions to do that because they employ a person whose job it is to ensure the longevity of your income. And who are these people? They're called actuaries. And these are the people that study the numbers, that know how to price these vehicles, because that's exactly what they're doing, to price it to address one of the biggest risks not only the insurance company takes, but we take. It's called longevity risk. So that kind of gives a little bit of history of what an annuity is, how it's structured, who's backing it. The second thing that's important to understand is the different types. So you could very easily Google annuities, and I'll tell you, your eyes will glaze over with all the information that you'll find. But really what happens is it boils down to 3 types of contracts that are out there in the marketplace today. So the first type of contract is what's called just a plain vanilla fixed annuity. Okay. The easiest way to describe this type of annuity is think of it like a CD. Okay. You walk into the bank and you say, what's your best rate for a $100,000 5-year CD? Okay. And they give you the rate. And you know the terms going in that you're going to get a certain interest rate on your money for a certain period of time. Pretty simple, right? So a fixed annuity works the same way. It's just now you're pivoting. Instead of the issuer being a bank, you're going to an issuer with an insurance carrier, okay? But the reason why these are not that attractive right now is because we're in one of the lowest interest rate environments right now, that it would not be in a person's best interest to lock up their money at less than 1%. Okay, so that's just a plain vanilla fixed annuity. Then we move up the ladder to what's called a variable annuity. Okay, and just as the title implies, variable means it's tied to some variable source. The growth of your money in that annuity is tied to some variable source. What is that variable source? It's the market. Okay, so when you invest in a variable annuity, you're investing in mutual fund type investments that are tied to the market based on the risk level that you feel comfortable with. Okay. Variable annuities, I would say, get the most press out there from a con side, if the pros and cons from the con side, because they are, Nancy and I probably research, annuities for people probably half a dozen times a week. People come in, they have annuities, and we get on the phone, we ask a lot of questions. Variable annuities often come up. One of the biggest downsides, in our opinion, of a variable annuity is they have high fees. Okay, what are those fees? Well, like I said, you're investing in mutual fund type investments, so you have the management fees of the mutual fund. You have what's called a mortality and expense charge. Okay, this is the company is redistributing the risk of managing these investments in the market to you in the form of a mortality and expense charge. Okay, so we have to be very careful with the different bells and whistles and fees inside the variable annuity. So the way to look at it is this. In our opinion, when we advise a person who may be considering investing in some type of annuity to generate income for them in retirement, we always say, let's not mix oil and water because they don't mix very well. Okay. So the driving factor of putting a dollar inside of an annuity structure to begin with is the outcome. At some point, you want to get a lifetime stream of income, or you're just going to take withdrawals from it as you need it. Okay. So why do we want to risk? Why do we want to combine market risk with those payments? Okay. A more efficient way is just to separate those two and have it, if you want to take on some risk in the market, keep pace with inflation, things of that nature, invest it in low cost ETFs, things of that nature. But let's use the annuity side for guarantee. Okay, so you just want to be cognizant of that inside of variable annuity. You can be more efficient, not having to mix investments inside that annuity. The third type is what's called a fixed indexed annuity, a fixed index. And for our clients on the call today, they're going to be more familiar with this type of contract because we are focusing solely on guarantees, not only to your principal, but guarantees to your income stream. Okay, so I'm going to kind of focus more on this type of contract right now. But I do want to preface it by saying that depending on your objective, some individuals tell us, Cristina and Nancy, I feel right now I have ample income coming in. I really don't want to generate more income right now, but maybe in the future. Okay. So you have to understand that these type of fixed index annuities can be either market driven or guarantee driven. And so let's kind of break that down. So a market driven fixed annuity contract is going to be more ideal for someone to consider if they say, I don't want to produce income from this bucket of my money right now, or maybe ever, but I want some more safety to my money. And I don't necessarily want to look at bonds right now, because that's a whole different conversation. But I really don't want to invest in bonds right now. So you want to plant your money somewhere where you can have your growth tied to a market index, like the S&P or the Dow Jones or the NASDAQ. So you have the potential to earn more than just having it sit in a bond, in a CD, but you have some principal protection because your money's not directly invested in that market index. Okay, but it's great for someone who just wants conservative growth. And a lot of people think, well, I thought annuities were just for income. Well, there's two phases to an annuity contract. There's the deferral phase and there's the distribution phase. So if a person just wants to focus on deferral and accumulation for conservative growth, then we're going to look just at a growth annuity that's market driven. But then there's other individuals that say, you know, Cristina, Nancy, I'm not fortunate enough to have a pension, or I just want to drive in more income to my portfolio to keep pace with inflation, or we just want more income. So these type of annuities are guarantee driven by what's called income riders. Okay, an income rider has really changed the landscape of how people can add more predictability to their income in retirement, because you're utilizing now what's called mortality credits. And when we have conversations with individuals who are interested in being educated more, we go into a lot more detail. What are mortality credits? How do they work? Why are they so beneficial to me in retirement that no other investment can offer, quite frankly? But on our call today, you know, it's very short and sweet. We can't go into all those details, but mortality credits are a great way, because while you are deferring that money, you are deferring these credits, in many cases, 6% a year, 6.5%, 7% a year in mortality credits, that no matter what the market does, no matter where interest rates go, you're growing these credits. The reason these are important is because when the time arises that you're ready to take income from this, those mortality credits that you've accumulated all those years are going to create an income check for you for the rest of your life. So what you're doing is you're transferring the risk of longevity. Okay, longevity risk, you're taking that off the table, because even if your balance in your annuity goes to zero, those mortality credits keep paying you. Not only for your life, but in many cases, if it's important to you for that income to pass on to your spouse, if they should survive you, bingo, those mortality credits continue to pay them for the rest of their life. Okay, so these are a great way to complement the other strategies you have in your portfolio to drive more income to your pocketbook in retirement, by significantly reducing the risk exposure that you're taking in order to accomplish that. So Nancy, if you see any questions that have come through, I want to definitely address them in the last 5-10 minutes here. So anyone have any questions on or clarification questions?
Yes, there was a question.
Okay.
Can you explain how how some of the annuities have, because she thinks she has the rider of long-term care or home health care expense?
Okay, great question. So over the past, I would say probably 20 years, one of the biggest areas that we've seen come up in the planning is how do I address long-term care, Cristina, Nancy? Very expensive to buy a long-term care policy. It could be a use it or lose it proposition. And quite frankly, you could pay for a long time and maybe not use benefits. So these are all the common concerns that people have buying a traditional long-term care policy. So many of these annuities that we're talking about have what's called living benefits. They're benefits for you, not for someone else, specifically when it comes to long-term care. So many of the annuities that we look at for our clients are attached. They have a rider attached. It's an enhanced benefit is what it's called for long-term care. So if you have an income rider on your annuity, okay, meaning you know that you're going to get income based on how this rider is growing, many of them have long-term care benefits. And in how it works is whatever income you're generating for that annuity, should you need home health care. And in many cases, if you're married, your spouse, either of you could use it. They would double that payment for 5 years, should you not be able to do what they call activities of daily living. So that's a great question. Yeah.
Okay, and then one last one, because we're running on short on time, but and Barbara asked, so with mortality credits, if I live to be 100, will there be monthly dividends? I can answer that one. I could answer the last
Okay.
one too, I guess, but we will call it your monthly income. And you can, with an annuity that pays out income, because like Cristina said, there's a lot of different annuities, but with the annuity that pays out the income, you can run out of money, but you will never, ever run out of income. Even if the value with all your withdrawals, and you've lived long enough, even if that value goes to zero, is truly creating your own personalized pension plan that you could never, ever outlive. And if you're married, the same applies if you're married. If it's the annuities on yourself and your spouse is beneficiary, then it's till the last person takes their last breath. So I hope that answers your question. All right. So what time is it? It is, where is 5:52. So, okay. So this is our MoneyWise cute little bag. And I'm going to draw for the wine now. So let's see who it is. I can open it. And the winner is, do you see that?
There you go. Nice.
Janice L.
Janice L.
I know who she is. We know who she is.
Wonderful.
Congratulations. Thank you all for coming. And also, if you have any questions or you think there's a topic that you would love for us to talk about, email at info@moneywiseaz.com and we'll put that to thought to have another happy half hour with something of interest that you would like to hear. Also,
Absolutely.
please feel free to bring a friend on. We're not going to have another one until January. I don't recall the date. But yeah, congratulations. And thank you, everybody.
Yes.
And, Kathy said she's still enjoying the bottle from last time. It was great. We'll tell Kelly. So
Yay.
thank you for that.
Happy holidays to all of you.
Yes. and
Happy New
safe.
Year. And we'll be coming back at you in January.
Yes.
Have a great evening, everybody.
Party on.
Bye-bye.
Bye.